Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a viewer's choice video. This series is all about you guys and what you request. I've only done one, so this will be the second time I'm doing this, but basically anything that you guys want to see, request it down below. I'm always watching in the comment section for things that people are looking for, and this video was inspired by a comment I received. We're talking all about powders, everything from oily, dry, combo, under eye, all of it except for buffing. I already have an entire video on my buffing technique and my favorite powders, so I will leave that linked down below. Today I'm just talking about setting powders, finishing powders, or under eye powders. Basically anything to set your makeup or to finish your makeup, not necessarily buffing. Some of these powders I do use for buffing, but I also use them to set my face. And I'm going to put them in different categories, whether I would suggest them for dry skin, oily skin, or combo skin. Now it's a little bit difficult with combo because there's several of these powders that I feel like will work for just about anybody. So I try to break them up as best as I could, but I'm just going to have to, instead of repeating myself in several different categories, I'll let you guys know as I go through if I would suggest it for more than one skin type. But I'm going to start off with powders for dry skin, and these are mainly loose powders. Loose powders happen to be my favorite, but I do have a few pressed options thrown in. The first powder I'm going to start off with is my number one, ride or die right now. It's the one that I cannot live without, and my skin type is combo. However, this is a powder that has some radiance to it. It is so beautiful. It's the closest thing to the original La Mer powder. It's not the same, but it's the closest thing that you're going to get to it. So if that's something that you really loved and you miss, this is it right here. This is the only thing I would say holds a candle to the original OG La Mer the powder. And this is the Sisley powder in 01 Irisee or Irisee. This powder comes in several different shades as well as radiant and matte. I have not tried any of the other ones other than this one, 01. This is a powder that is going to set everything. You can also buff with this. This is one of my favorite buffing powders, but I love it to set with as well. It's going to make you look really perfected, but not dry. It doesn't look dry at all. It blurs everything. It looks beautiful, but it has this radiance to it. So if you actually want to have your entire face set, this is beautiful. It works underneath the eyes as well. And again, like I said, I love it for buffing. So this is like my number one powder right now, and it has been for a while. I've been using this for years and years and years now. Something that is pretty close to that Sisley powder, but unfortunately I cannot use, at least unless I want to break out. It's from Charlotte Tilbury, and it's the Magic powder, under eye and face. This powder is so unbelievably gorgeous. If you have dry skin and you want something that's just going to give you that lit from within glow, it's translucent, it comes in different shades. I wish that this didn't have cornstarch in it because cornstarch breaks me out. And there's a darker shade. There's a few shades of this, but the darker shade on me looks like a bronzer, and it's so beautiful. So if you are able to use this and you're about my skin tone, if you grab the darker one, try it as a bronzer. It's gorgeous. But the shade that I use is number 1 Fair. This again is beautiful for setting. It's gorgeous underneath the eyes, and it's gorgeous for buffing. There's one downside to this other than the fact that I can't use it because of breakouts. It does not smell good. It smells a little like crayons. I don't remember exactly what ingredient it was, but I went to training for this product when it was released. I was working at Nordstrom at the time, and the smell that you're smelling isn't that the powder has gone bad or anything like that. It's an ingredient in there that's actually good for your skin. But if you are sensitive to smell, especially one that's not, you know, like a floral smell or anything perfumey, it smells like crayon, it smells like it's gone bad, then you might not like this. But if I could use it, I would be able to get over it. It would not bother me with how beautiful this is. I forgot to mention that the Sisley one is definitely one that I would recommend for somebody who's combo like myself, combo, dry, and actually oily skin if you don't want to be extremely matte. If you're looking for something that's going to set and look natural, but not like overly matte, this is a really pretty one. It's from Prairie. They have the original Hyaluronic Hydra powder, but this is the tinted one. There's something about the tinted one that I just like a little bit better. I like this one for underneath the eyes. I like this one for, oh my gosh, for just brightening up in the center of my face. The number, I think it's number 1. It's Rosy Light. That one down the center of my face, it blurs my pores and imperfections. It brightens everything up, and it just makes it's so smooth. It is so smooth. But setting your entire face with this powder, it's almost like you didn't even set it. It's like you can still feel some moisture to your skin. It doesn't feel dry. It's magical. The shade that I use for my entire face is number 200. I will just forewarn you guys that the shade number fair, the shade fair, it is a little too dark for me. I'm a light medium, and that one turns me yellow. So I pretty much suggest number 200 for anybody who is light medium. Fair, I would either go with the translucent or the number 200 because it doesn't have a lot of pigmentation to it. There's just that yellow and that fair one that is just a little off. So just forewarning. But if you're looking for a powder that's going to set without actually looking like a powder, that's it. Next up, the Kojin Dough Sheer Moisture Powder. This is actually limited edition. I don't know why, because it's amazing. If you have dry skin, this is... it's so beautiful. Again, it's very lightweight, like the Hyaluronic Hydra powder. It's very finely milled, and it's super, super soft. If you just take a dusting of this all over, you'll love it. You will absolutely love it. My first press powder for dry skin is from La Mer. This one has definitely been loved. I have this in translucent, which is this one right here, number 2 translucent. And then I also have it in light, but I like the translucent one better. The translucent one I feel like has just a little bit more radiance to it. Still matte, but it just has a little something to it. And it also has the Miracle Broth, which is amazing for dry skin. If you are looking for a powder that's in a compact, but is going to give you just a lightweight type of finish, give you a little bit of radiance, but perfect everything, this is really beautiful. I would suggest the tinted ones for combo skin. This one actually works well for it too, but I think it's just a little bit more radiant than what the ones that have a little bit of tint to it are. But this is gorgeous. However, if you don't want to spend, I think this is $95, the Milani Prep Set and Glow Illuminating Transparent Powder. This is essentially a dupe. Not a dupe, like it's not exactly the same, but this one is really beautiful. This will give you just about the same effect that the La Mer will at a much lower price tag. Speaking of La Mer, I have to mention the powder, the loose powder. The other one is the sheer pressed powder, and this is just the powder. Not like the original. I like the original better than this. There's just, there's something about the original one that was just so good. This one is still really, really beautiful, and you'd want to use a dusting. Do not use a lot of this. I find that if I use too much of it, it can look kind of chalky, or like it can look dry if you use too much. It's finding that just soft little balance. I love to use this to buff with. I love to use this to set my face with, but when I set my face, I have to make sure that I use just a dusting, because I can go ham with my powders. But this one is just a beauty. I can't tell you how many people I have put this on, and they have been, oh my gosh, immediate, like, what is this magical thing that you just did to my face? It is this powder. If I was going to pick though between the Sisley and this one, it's still going to be the Sisley. This is a powder that I would suggest to both dry and combo. It is from Hourglass, and it is called the Veil Translucent Powder. This is gorgeous. It gives you the most smooth, it's radiant without it being like sparkly and just glowy, but not too much. It's not going to accentuate your pores or anything like that. It just gives you this soft, focused glow. It sets everything. It's beautiful, and I just can't get enough of it. Some people hate the actual dispenser on this. I don't. I love it. There's a little H right here, and as you can see, there's some powder out. Basically, this top right here has a little thing that will stop it, and you tip it over, shake it, and the perfect amount of powder comes out, and that's exactly what has happened. So you don't get too much. It stops it from it getting really messy. I really love that design, because my powders get disgusting. The rest of the powders I have for dry skin are all pressed. So the first one is Bobbi Brown, and I feel like I need to put this back into rotation because I forgot about it until this video was requested. So I'm like, let me go ahead and just put this back into the drawer. I specifically like to use this for buffing because I just think it looks so gorgeous on top of the skin, over top of everything. If you're not sure what I'm talking about when I'm referring to buffing, it's just when I take a powder at the very end of my routine and I take it and literally buff over the top of everything. It melts everything together really nicely and it gives you this filtered effect. And this one is amazing for it. But not only that, it will set your makeup so beautifully. There's several different shades. The one I use is Nude, and you can see these different colors in the pan. Some are a little bit more radiant and some are like a matte satin. You just swirl them all together, and again, you can either set your face or you can just add a little bit of radiance and buff like I do with this powder. This isn't one that I love underneath my eyes, but just to set the skin, especially if you are dry, it's beautiful. This one I am wearing today, and it's also from Kojando, and it's the Brightening Moisture Powder. I wonder if I called the other one something wrong. This is stunning, but it is not for all skin tones. I will tell you that much. It is pretty light. It looks like you would have some color to it, but when you swirl it all together, it is pretty light. However, it is stunning. I wouldn't suggest using this all over your face unless you have a fair skin tone. But if you are a dry skin type and you like to just, set the center of your face, or you want some brightening effects, this right here is it. I have this down the center of my face just to brighten it up, and I love it because it brightens without any texture. This is one of the smoothest powders I've ever felt in my entire life. I'm not even kidding. It's not dry at all, but it doesn't emphasize texture at all. It doesn't have glitter or anything like that. It's so beautiful. And it comes with a little brush, but I took that out. So I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the ambient lighting powders from Hourglass. If you have not checked these out, you need to. I don't care what skin type you are. If you are dry, oily, combo, whatever it is, these are amazing. If you are dry, this is going to look great setting your face. It is going to look great finishing your face. So if you want to do the buffing technique with it, or just add a little bit down the center of the face, you can use these as a really subtle highlight. They come in a variety of shades. There's one that oh my gosh, I used to use it every single day. It's diffused light. I use that to set underneath my eyes. Beautiful. So beautiful. So if you want that really bright under eye, that will give it to you. But this one right here is Luminous Light. And they are so buttery soft, and they just give you the most beautiful, silky, natural finish. And it's just, they're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. Hourglass has some of the best powders ever made. My last one I will say is definitely for dry or combo. And it is one of the best blurring powders I've ever seen. This is from Sisley again, and it's the Blur Expert. This one was a little strange to me at first. There was a little flower imprinted here, but I've used it so much. It's very hard pressed in here. So you're gonna do this, you're almost gonna get nothing on your skin. But when you get it on, it will blur everything out. When I say, if I have, like, my pores are the largest right around my nose, I will take a brush and just take this and go right around my nose. It blurs so well. If my under eyes are looking a little like, we got some texture, I take this. This is an amazing touch-up powder. It's an amazing setting powder. It's everything. It will not dry you out, but it will perfect your skin. Now, I definitely suggest going in with a brush that is a little stiffer to pick it up because it is just so hard pressed in there. If you use it after and you want to use it as a buffing powder, just make sure you're going in with something a little stiffer to pick it up. And if you're using it for a setting powder, use something stiffer, but then kind of just press it into the skin. Don't buff it into the skin, because if you're using a stiffer brush and you're doing that motion, you can disturb whatever you have underneath. So you don't want to move your makeup around. If you are fair, do not get this powder. It's going to show up too dark on you. Anything lower than an NC20 it's not going to work for you. All right, let's move on to the next category, which is kind of in between the combo, but really they're more along the lines of what I would say just our natural powders. Let me just get into it and we'll talk about each individual one. First up, the Fenty Beauty, what is this called? Pro Filt'r powder. I have this in several different colors. The one I have in my hands right now is butter, but I also have it in a lavender shade, which absolutely brightens up the center of the face. Like, I just love that effect so much. And these can be used underneath the eyes if you want to. It's not my favorite. It's not bad, but it's not my favorite. However, on the face, it's really beautiful. This is what it looks like. It's not going to dry out your skin. It's going to help mattify it, but in a very natural way. So it's not going to be overly dry, but it's not going to be overly shiny either. It's like that right perfect middle ground to where if you use a small amount of this, somebody that's dry could use it, but you don't want to use too much. And then somebody who is combo or oily will definitely love this powder. It's just not overly dry, very finely milled. I love the shade range of this, and I love the amount that you get, 28 grams in here. So nice. But if you want to talk about some grams, this one right here, this is expensive, but price per gram, it's actually pretty darn good. This is from La Prairie, and it is the Skin Caviar Loose Powder. So if I was going to pick my second favorite, just powder overall, this one makes my skin look so good. Just like the foundation. It's like if you've tried the foundation and you haven't tried the powder, just go ahead and do it. But you're getting 50 grams. It's $220, I believe. Hold on, let me check. I was right, my mind serves me well today. So it's $220, but you're getting 50 grams. There's 40 in here, and then you're also getting a travel size, which is so nice. I can't tell you how many times that little container has come in handy. I actually have it right here. I'm gonna mess a bunch of stuff up if I do that. But there's a little one, and it's so cute. It looks just like this. It has a mirror inside and the puff and everything, but it's just smaller. This powder will mattify your skin in a very velvety way. When this came out, I compared it to the Chanel powder, which is no longer in existence. Well, it is. They just reformulated it, and it's nothing like it used to be. This right here, while it's $220, it's $4.40 per gram. And let's just take the Sisley powder for instance. This one's $95 and it has 12 grams of product. So let me just do the math really quickly. This one's almost 8, so it's almost double the amount. It is $7.92. So I mean, yeah, it's an investment right up front, but it lasts forever. I still haven't gone through this thing, and you do not need very much. This is something that's not going to dry you out, but it's going to give you that velvety type of finish. It just makes your skin look, I don't even know, like it will fill anything that you have on your skin. Like I have a little bit of acne scarring where I have a few little indentions on my cheek, and when I wear this powder, it like smooths over like a primer would. It's just beautiful, but it's not heavy. The original one that they had out, I didn't like that one. I felt that it was cakey and heavy on the skin, but this one is not. It is so pretty. And this one can be used if you are dry, combo, or oily. This is something I would suggest to just about anybody. This is a powder I used to use every single day. I went in with this powder, and it is from MAC. It is the Mineralized Skin Finish, and I have the shade Light Plus. I'm more of like a medium now. I don't know what happened. I used to lose my tan completely, but for the last few years, I have not lost my tan completely. Like I still have tan lines, and that's never happened before. It's just the last few years, but I just don't lose my tan like I used to. Anywho, off topic. The Mineralized Skin Finish gives you the most natural finish. This is something that you can use by itself if you wanted to. You can even use this wet. Yeah, you can go in with this wet and just use it as a foundation. You can use it as a medium coverage powder by just putting it on, or a light powder by dusting it with a softer brush, or you can set your face with it. I used to take this and press it into my skin with a large, I called it my microphone brush, and I would press it into my skin. And this is something that I have kept in my collection for a long time, and it's something that I used to carry around in my kit. This is what I would carry because I knew that it would work on everybody. Now, this isn't something that I would suggest to set underneath your eyes with if you have any kind of crepey issues or anything like that. If you have no problems underneath your eyes, then go for it. But to me, this one underneath the eyes is a little too heavy, but on the rest of your face, it is just perfecting, and it's a really great touch-up powder as well. I also have a dupe for that one, and it is from NYX. It is the No Filter Finishing Powder. This one, I gotta say, I think that this one is just a little bit more radiant than what the Mineralized Skin Finish is. I think the Mineralized Skin Finish will give you a little bit more coverage a little easier than what this does, but they are very close, and I really enjoy this powder as well. I have it in several different colors, but if you're looking for that type of finish, but at a better cost, this is it. Giorgio Armani, and this is the Luminous Silk Powder. I have the shade number 4, and this is so silky. It is like butter, like butter. The Kojendo though is still smoother. This is just, this is really pretty. Again, you can use this alone as a powder all by itself. You can use it to touch up, and you can use it to set. This looks beautiful on just about anybody. I think this looks nice on dry skin. However, you have to be careful with it, and I wouldn't get it too close to the under eye. This is very silky, very smooth. It gives you that beautiful smoothing effect. If you're dry, you can definitely use this. You're just going to have to use a more fluffy brush. Let me see. Like this one from Wayne Goss. I don't remember the name of it. It's not on here. This is one of the special edition ones, but it's more flimsy. And so it's going to give you just a little bit less coverage than going in with a more dense powder brush. That's how I would use this if I was going to use it if I was just dry all over. But combo, you're going to love this, and oily, you will love this as well. There is one more powder that I have in this category. I don't actually have this one. This is just one that I would suggest. It is from Charlotte Tilbury again, and the same reason why I can't use it is the reason why I don't have it. It contains cornstarch, breaks me out. So while I know that this powder is beautiful, I got to play with it several times. It is stunning. I don't buy it because, yeah. This is the Airbrush Flawless Finish. It took me several times to say that setting powder. Now, the downside of this, it only comes in 3 shades. I really wish Charlotte would do a better job of expanding her shade range, but I digress. I'm just talking about the powder formula. It's beautiful. It is very silky. It's going to help control oil, but it's also not going to be too drying on the skin. If you're a combo or oily, I would say more along those lines. But again, if you dust it on your skin, it's really beautiful on dry skin as well. It's just an all-around great powder. I mean, everybody I talk to that has tried this powder is in love with it, including myself. I just can't use it. So there's that. Now let's talk about oily skin. Every single one of these I would recommend to somebody who has combo skin, but just keep in mind that these really do control oil. And so for me, being combo, I like to really see what foundation I'm wearing underneath, and I like to play with more than one powder. I will use something underneath my eyes and for my pores, and then I will use something else for the perimeter of my face. And then I go in with one for buffing. Sometimes it's the same one I use to set, and sometimes it's not. But just keep in mind that if you're combo and you lean a little bit more dry, maybe you shouldn't try these, or you might really love them to bake or do something like that if you're oily in your T-zone or something like that. But all of these I would recommend to oily and combo. First up, Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is a recent release from her, and it's the Loose Setting Powder. This one is excellent. You can use it underneath your eyes if you're somebody who likes to bake. You can use it all over to set. This is going to mattify. It looks really great on the skin. It doesn't look too dry. I don't like it when an oil absorbing powder or something that's mattifying, it looks too dry. This one does not. It's very beautiful. It just gives you a gorgeous finish, and it's something that I highly recommend. And again, I need to pick that one up a little bit more often. Then we have the Milk Makeup Set, hold on, Blur and Set Matte Loose Setting Powder. Now, I think this one has an ingredient in it that I can't use. I remember liking it, but I feel like there's something in it that I can't use. Don't you love how prepared I am for this video? I'm just making sure I'm giving accurate information. I don't want to tell somebody that something's in here when it's not. There's 3 different shades. It's silicone-free, talc-free, lightweight setting powder that absorbs oil. It's matte. Ingredients. I was right. It has cornstarch in there. I knew there was a reason because I remember liking this powder, but I just knew there was a reason why I had to stop using it. But this is really great. This is something that is going to keep your makeup in place all day long, honey. It works so well. This one along with the Laura Mercier Translucent. Everybody knows about this powder. This is something that you gotta like powder to like this one. I don't know that I could wear this now because to me it is a little heavier, but if you're oily, that is a great thing. I really liked this. It was years ago when I first tried it. I used to contour a lot. I don't really do that so much anymore, but I used to. Then I would clean up right underneath and then I would bake here. And I started noticing, this is actually the powder that made me realize, but I started noticing that I was only getting bumps right where I was putting this powder. And then I started to do some research and I started to realize that everything that has Z-maize or cornstarch in it, that's what breaks me out. And this is the powder that made me realize. And it was really heartbreaking at the time because this is very, very smooth and it made my skin look amazing. However, it did look like makeup. That's one thing I have to say about this is that if you're gonna wear this, to me, it's just a little heavier. It's just a little heavier. But like I said, if you're oily, this is a really, really nice one. Unless, of course, you're like me and you can't use Z-maize cornstarch. Another great one comes from Cover FX, and this is the Translucent Light Perfect Setting Powder. I have gone through more than half of this. I need to finish this little guy up. This one's really nice as well. I like the way that this looks on the skin. Definitely matte, but it looks perfected. I don't feel like it looks too heavy, whereas sometimes I feel like this one, the translucent one, can. This one is just a little bit more perfect. It's a little bit more perfecting. It's a little lighter weight, but still does the job really well. This one I have not gotten to talk to you guys about, but I love this powder. I really love this powder. All right, it's from Lancome. I tried this actually in March, but it's a long story. I have a video that apparently is not going to go out until August, so I'm going to have no hair again when you guys see it. But when you see the video, you'll see me trying this and being like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it truly is. It is the Lancome Long Time No Shine Loose Setting Powder. I love this for all over if I was wearing something that's a little bit more dewy, but being combo, I can tend to be a little drier on the outskirts of my face, so I don't use this as much that way. But underneath the eyes to bake and then to perfect the pores, the chin, or like add here, it is so flippin' smooth. This is like, if you can't use the translucent powder from Laura Mercier or it's just too heavy for you, try this one out. This control shine like nobody's business. This is probably my favorite one that I've ever used to control shine. It's not kidding. It's not kidding at all. So if you're oily, you need to try this out. Just one more powder when it comes to oily skin, and this is something that I use a lot, and it's from Urban Decay. You guys have heard me talk about this all the time. It's called the Stay Naked The Fix Powder, and the shade that I use is 40NN. I have these everywhere now. You guys, I bought so many of these during the Sephora event, and I love this. I love it to buff. I love it to set. I love it not underneath my eyes. No. That's a little too dry for there. But I don't find this to dry me out. It perfects everything. I used it today to buff, and it adds a little bit of extra coverage. I like that it doesn't make me feel dry, but it keeps things mattified. And I love it so much. You can use this by itself. You can use it to set, obviously, and you can obviously use it to buff like I just mentioned. But I've got one of these in my purse. I have one of these in my car. I have one of these in here to use. And then I have one in my makeup bag. I know. I see. I don't always carry around a makeup bag with me, so there's one in my purse and then one in my makeup bag. It's just a whole thing. This powder has become one of my holy grails. There's just something about it that I think looks so good on my skin. And if you're oily, this is going to look good all over your face. I would even suggest using, I have 30NN, and I've used that to just go around my pore area, and then this one to go all over. It's just gorgeous. It's so pretty, but I don't like it underneath my eyes. It's too much for this area right here. I can use it here on my pores, but I cannot use it underneath my eyes. Now, speaking of under eyes, I only have 3 powders. 2 are here and 1 I just know I like that I actually probably should purchase. This is something that I used whenever it came out. I used it all the time at Nordstrom. It's from Laura Mercier as well. Let me look up the name of it. I remember talking to the guy that was at Laura Mercier, and he was talking about this powder and to use it on my client, and I had never used this powder before. I was like, no, I'm gonna go with my usual. He's like, no, try this. And I feel like I was taking a risk because, you know, when you're doing a client's makeup, and especially the under eye, if you do that and then it looks terrible, clients can ask you to take off their makeup. So I put all my trust in him. I was like, okay, don't mess up my job. And I fell in love with it right after that moment. When I put it on her, I was like, what is this secret magic? It is called the Blurring Under Eye Powder, and it comes in 2 different colors, and it's pressed. It's just like a little thing like this. And you do not need to use much. A little goes a long way. I would take a brush like this one from Sonia G. This is the Detail Pro. I would take it, get the product, and then just buff it underneath the eye. Blown away, just blown away. I really need to get my hands on this powder. It essentially erases fine lines and pores. I don't know how it does it, but it is so gorgeous. And yeah, I need to get my hands back on this one. I don't know why I haven't. Actually, I lie, I do, because I'm very content with these 2. These are the only 2 powders I use unless I just want to grab something to use out of my stash. These are the powders that I use on a daily basis. I want to look more natural, and especially if I'm dried out. If I am dehydrated, it shows underneath my eyes like nobody's business. And the last thing I want to do is bake. Just saying. This right here from Becca Cosmetics, this is the Under Eye Brightening Powder. It's gorgeous. It blurs out fine lines and it blurs out my pores. I could use this powder on my nose, all on this section and down the center of my face, but it's really small, so I would go through it really quickly, and I know I would go through it really quickly because I did it one time. This only has 2.7 grams, so it's tiny. So I only use this right underneath my eyes and then to blur out my pores, and I resist the urge to go over my nose. You know when you have like the little holes from pores, you know, and blackheads or whatever, and you've cleaned everything out, but you still have like the little holes? This makes it all go away. It's just perfect. I love it so much. Now, I do use the Becca Under Eye Anti-Fatigue Primer. I use that every single day, no matter what powder I'm going to use. And I get asked a lot whether this powder or the Under Eye Brightening Powder from Laura Mercier is better. If you're going to use them on their own, then they are pretty similar. However, there's something about the combination of the primer and this that just is perfection. That under eye primer really, really helps. So if you love your under eye primer, but you think you could just up it a notch, I suggest this to everyone. I have used it every single day since I have tried it. Again, Becca Anti-Fatigue Under Eye Primer. That makes just about any powder look fabulous, but especially this one. And then if I want to bake, now technically you could use this all over your face if you wanted to. If you are oily, have at it. But I use this to bake and to set underneath my eyes. Today I have this one on. I didn't bake with it, but I just pressed it all underneath my eyes and over my nose, and it's smooth. I'm sure you guys have heard that word so many times during this video, but we're talking about powders, and powders are smoothing the face. That's what they do, and they set. But this is the shade Pound Cake. It's the Easy Bake Loose Baking and Setting Powder. So like I said, you can use it to bake or to set. If you're oily, definitely go in and set all over if you want to, but this is the best baking powder I've ever used. Ever. It tops everything. This is very scented. I don't even smell it anymore because I have just gotten so desensitized by the smell because I've used it so much, but it's definitely strong. I remember my first impressions of this and being like, whoa, that's a lot. And I was actually concerned about breaking out or my pores becoming enlarged when they get aggravated, just because of the amount of fragrance, but I haven't had any issues. I never break out from this. I never have the enlarged pore issue or anything like that. Best baking powder. But anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. Thank you so much for the suggestion, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.